Good afternoon, Ms. Lee. Thank you for coming in this afternoon to discuss the results on the Vineland3 assessment form that you were able to answer last week. So a week ago, you came in to our school to discuss the concerns that you had and that the teacher had voiced already to you. You were in agreement to allow us to assess your child and also for you to answer some questions on how your child was either behaving or how he was being influenced by some of the academic concerns in the classroom, because you were concerned and you want to help your child out. So one of the assessments that we did give you was the Vineland3, and it was you answering questions about how your child behaves at the present time. And these were behaviors that your child is able to perform at the time of the assessment. That doesn't mean that he can't do any of the questions that were questioned for you right there, but these are just things that he is able to perform at the time. I'm going to give you a copy of the results so that you can follow along as I read them. And if you have any questions, just feel free to just, stop me and ask me what you have or concerns that you might have. This kind of assessment gives the teacher, as well as you, a lot of insight on how the child's performing. It also helps us construct interventions for your child. When we gave the assessment to you, your child at that time was 6 years old, 10 months, and 1 day. We gave this assessment about a week ago, and these are the results that he has. Now, we are basing this on a norm of 100 with a standard deviation of 15. You being an educator know that we score by points, and 100 is usually the norm for standard scores. Okay, so based on the mean of 100, this is how your child performed in some of the domains that we assessed him in. 3 of the specific domains that we did assess were the communication skills, daily living skills, and his socialization skills. So we're going to start with the communication skills. The communication skills, as you read on your assessment, asks questions on his understanding on how he speaks to others, how he verbalizes, his reading, his listening skills along through speech. On this domain, he did score an 88, and based on the domain of 100, reflects a relative weakness. If we rank him according to children in his norm group, he ranks at a 21 percentile rank score. On the daily living skills domain, these are performances that he does on his daily tasks in either the home or at school. So here he obtained an 80, again exhibiting a relative weakness in this domain, and he ranked at a 9%. That is a little bit of a concern for us because that is a little bit low. That means that only 9 kids perform at his ranking or lower. So that's pretty down on the scale over there. So the last one that we gave him, or not really the last one that we gave him, but the last main domain was the socialization skills. And on this one, he had a standard score of an 89, ranking at the 23rd percentile compared to his students, to the students his age, and also a relative weakness. The other domains that we were able to ask you about were on his motor skills and his maladaptive behavior domains. So if we go down to page 3, in the motor skills, he did have a 100 as his standard score, which means this is a strength for him. He's performing well there. And his ranking is at a 50 percentile. In his maladaptive domain, Tremenda was assessed for problem behaviors, and this one assessed both the internal behaviors and also the external, what he reflects, when he is confronted with some type of issue or problem in the classroom or at home. And here, for the internal behaviors, he scored at a 19, which for us reflects an elevated problem behavior. With the externalizing, how he reacts to it, he had a 20, again reflecting an elevated problem behavior. Do you have any questions up to now, ma'am?
No.
Not any? Okay, thank you. So we'll move on. On page 5, I gave you a score summary sheet, and it's a little graph showing you how he scored in all the domains, but they're all in one little place right there for you. And it gives you the percentile ranks, the standard scores, his strengths and his weaknesses. It also gives you results on his behavior, and also on the ones I gave you only the questions that you scored for him as 2, which were often or this he's sometimes displayed. And those were the critical items. Number 1, number 2, number 5, 8, and 9. He's overly needy, or he's very dependent. He has some eating problems. He gets extremely anxious or nervous. He lacks energy sometimes or interest in doing things. Also, sometimes he reflected that he was extremely fearful of common objects or situations. So taking all this into consideration is when we proceed so that we can start looking for interventions for him on how to better help him. On page 6, it gives you again a summary of what the Vineland3 scores, how they are reflected on this score sheet, and also how the Vineland3 is given to you. Now, on the general comments, Tremendo has struggled in the classroom with some reading and coping skills throughout kindergarten. And Tremendo has been recommended for the extended year instruction. Is that right? Which is summer school? Mm-hmm. Okay, so hopefully there he can get some of the interventions, and we can see a little bit of a progress if we were to give this assessment once again in a later time in the year. On page 7, this is the report that I am giving you. So this report is being presented to you, the mother of Tremendo Cuate, and you are his mother, am I right? Mm-hmm. Okay, and for us, the best person or the best people to answer questions about Tremendo are those that live with him, because you know them a lot better than just somebody else. Now, in some cases, we do give the assessment also to the teachers so that they can answer some questions. In this case, we just asked you about how his behaviors were. Now, these behaviors that are exhibited are behaviors for everyday living. These behaviors can be grouped into broad areas, and you have presented in the form that you filled out. These areas consist of communication, daily living skills, and relating to other people in socialization. In Tremendo's case, we were able to obtain information also on his motor and his maladaptive scores, and we went over those. And this just lets us become aware of how he interacts with others, how he moves, he talks, and like his behaviors that he already does. Now, it's very important for us to select a person, like we said, you, that can show us true scores about how he is behaving. Now, all this, like I said before, will help us come up with interventions for your child. This is not the end all of testing scores, because we need to, give them the IQ so that we can have a better picture. We can't depend only on this assessment. Do you have any questions, ma'am?
When will they give
the future assessments will probably be done at the beginning of the school year. Since the school year already ended, we will continue with the assessments then. Is that okay? Mm-hmm. Good. Well, thank you for coming again. And, if you still have any questions, you can always give me a call. We are going to be available till midsummer and just coming up with more intervention for him. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.